morning, everyone, and thank you for the invitation. I'm glad so I can actually build on what has been just said by the colleague Vladimir just a few minutes ago. I'll take this from a slightly different angle today, and I brought some notes because I don't have slides, and yes, I built them with AI, so kudos to me. So in Europe, I believe we are asking the wrong question about AI and physical AI. So we keep asking, will AI take our jobs? And I operate in robotics. I operate with, particularly with small and medium companies. And that's the fear. Everybody is, and particularly the operators, they are scared that, physical AI and robots will take their jobs. But the real question we need to ask ourselves, in my opinion, is who will fill those jobs that are currently not being filled? So the European Commission was very clear about this point. So between 2009 and 2023, EU working age population declined from 272 million to 263 million. And it is expected to fall even further to 236 million by 2050. So this is a problem. We don't have people to fill the jobs that we need to fill in order to guarantee our industrial competitiveness, in order to guarantee growth, in order to guarantee the level, the quality, the level of quality of business services that we need to provide. So this is a threat for European independence. It's a threat to European growth and thrive, and that's the question we should be asking ourselves. So this is a reality, and it's a reality everywhere. I work in manufacturing particularly, but I've been operating also in other industries. And if you walk, and it was very interesting what was said before, if you walk to shop floors, you think that digitalization and the transition to technology it's there. We interact every day with AI, and we think that every problem can be solved. And then you walk into the shop floor, and the guys operate like it was said. They shout at each other, they still push carts, and they do things manually. Even though we have ERPs and WMS and all the softwares and all the digital power. So we really need to think about this and start working towards deploying technology at scale and changing our culture, changing the culture of the companies and of the operators that need to adopt this technology. And this is a real point that we need to work on to ensure that in the future Europe will still have a role in the industrial ecosystem. But for Europe, this is a paradoxical position because we have some of the best industrial knowledge and talent. We have some of the best universities, and we can build a lot of innovation. We've seen this in the past decades. That a lot has been invested in research and innovation, in inventing new things, new machines, new solutions. But we really struggle nowadays to put this at scale. And there's a number of reasons for this. One being that we are a fragmented geographical area from the political and also economical standpoint. While, for example, the US and China are much stronger markets because they have unified language, unified rules, while for us it's completely different. We need to cope with a lot of different cultures, rules, and languages. But it's also a cultural thing, and I believe we need to work on that. So the lack of labors and skills is really a threat for Europe, for European potential growth. And it's not just a labor issue or productivity issue or technology issue. It's really an industrial continuity issue. So when we talk about AI, we talk about complex physical systems, right? So it's not just a software that replies to a well-engineered prompt, right? It's robots, a system that have actuators, sensors that can do reasoning, can act, in the real world and make real actions and produce real value. And why is this different from just thinking about software? It is different because you need to start from small things. You need to develop systems which are very complex, but insert them in complex environment which are dominated by humans, and where if you don't think about the full process, if you don't think how the technology will provide value in your business, in your particular area of the value chain, you will not be successful. So you need to think of developing systems starting from the human. So having a human-centered design approach. We will hear also about this later in the afternoon. And you always need to ask the question, what value this technology is going to bring? We don't want just to build technology because it's fancy, because it's cool, and just try to use it and try to think and to see if this is beneficial. We need to start from the question, what kind of value I want to bring, what kind of problem I want to solve, and how do I develop my system so that I solve this problem. And sometimes the problems are different, and particularly in Europe, we have our industrial base is dominated by SMEs. So we also have, of course, big champions, but most of them are small and medium enterprises. And for them, problems are very different. Most of them operate particularly in manufacturing, they operate in high mix, low volume type of production. So processes are very flexible. They vary a lot because one day you produce one product for one customer, the day after you produce something completely different. And you cannot automate end-to-end those processes because they change very often. So you need systems that cope with variability, you need systems that adapt to what you're trying to do. And to do this, you need to focus on specific type of value. So it's not always the same thing. It's not always efficiency, speed. Sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's ergonomically, the ergonomic settings of how to improve the quality of life of workers. So it's different things. So that's why you always need to think about AI, complex AI systems, complex systems that need to be inserted in a real life problem. And this is not an easy task. But if we use this approach, and I think this is key, we start from the point of view of the problem, we can design systems that can be very, very effective. And so we can design that can cope with speed, that can cope with consistency, safety, reducing physical fatigue, and they, in principle, need to essentially remove friction. So that's the real key. We're not substituting the human. We are elevating the human to a new level. So we're taking care with physical AI of the low value tasks, of the risky tasks. We saw something also in the very first presentation this morning. There are tasks which are done by humans still, which we don't want to do because they're dangerous. And there is a lot of injuries happening in the industry, and we want this to be taken care by something else, by an artificial system. While the human can shift upwards in the value chain, can shift, at the level of taking decisions, making adding the real value through reasoning, through the experience, and through decision making, and not just doing things like moving stuff around or bringing information from one person to another in a shop floor. So I'm talking a lot about manufacturing. That's the sector I operate in. But this is a pattern that is common to a lot of industries. You see this in manufacturing, where you need efficiency, where you need speed, but you see this in logistics and transport, where there is a lot of problems in terms of coordination, movement, safety, and business continuity. There is a lot of problems. There is a huge lack of people and operators in healthcare, where you would need physical AI systems to take care of, again, of the low value tasks, while relieving the few people that are still in healthcare operating to deal with the patient, to deal with those type of actions and tasks which require direct interaction with the people, with patients, empathy and judgment, and so not taking care of, pushing around carts, for example, to bring food to every single patient, or to bring medicines or other type of things. So physical AI there can really make the difference and essentially elevate humans to real value tasks. So if this hypothesis is true, then we really need to change the approach from the policy making point of view down to investment and operators. So in terms of policy making, we really need to help companies, startups, scale-ups in Europe to deploy at scale. That's what we lack. In Europe usually we build things very, very useful and cool things, but then we don't manage to scale. So we have a few champions, but if you look at different contexts, like different geographies like US and China, you really see the difference and the gap. So we really need something that allows Europe to somehow join forces to create big champions that can scale these solutions and make them really adopted at scale. So let me close with this. So physical AI, in my opinion, is not just something that will take the jobs, that will somehow will replace people in a way that essentially will make human useless. To me, it's an opportunity to empower the human and to help the human to really focus on the high value things. And in Europe, we still have what it takes to do it, to win this race. We have the engineering depth, the industrial culture, the research base, but we need to, again, put all this together essentially to build a shared industrial response. So in that case, if we do that, physical AI becomes an opportunity and not more a threat. We can work against labor shortages, we can improve the quality of work, and again, maintain our competitive and strategic positioning in the world. So it's not a physical AI, if we don't do that, if we don't take this opportunity, physical AI will not just take the jobs of people. Physical AI will decide whether we will still have jobs in our region. So with this, I close, and thank you very much for your attention.
Jody, thank you.